Well, hello again. This is YEDIBE Takes Tweets Seriously series, or a mouthful, where I'll be taking tweets seriously, and today's issue is around the issue of Zama Zamas. Welcome to the House of YEDIBE. Now, Benno the Black Pen has come out and took the bait and had something to say about the issue of Zama Zamas. He tweeted, "When colonizers arrived in Africa, they were Zama Zamas themselves. Today they punish poor black people who are trying to mine their land, using captured black puppet politicians. To say that colonizers were illegal miners assume a legal standard of some sort. African traditional customs and natural law are the legal standard that we should use to determine whether the colonizers were in fact legal miners. Being a pre-constitutional place like pre-colonial Africa, meaning that if it were reasonably understood that certain minerals or the private ownership of a certain clan, then unnatural law does not allow for unnatural dispossession of others' minerals. However, to state that a settler arriving on foreign land is obligated to treat the minerals he has found as if it was all private property is preposterous. Where the colonizers found empty land and mined, they did so because it was their natural right. Interestingly enough, even if they established their mines against the moral law by murder, let's say, then they still wouldn't be qualified to be called Zama Zamas. By Oxford definition of Zama Zamas are people who work illegally in abandoned mine shafts in order to retrieve metals or mineral. Now, by this definition, it is impossible for colonizers to become Zama Zama because they are the ones who established large-scale mining in the first place. Let me explain. Now, let's go over the mining of coal and gold by indigenous communities. Africans mined coal primarily for heat and cooking. Furthermore, pre-colonial Africans like those at Mapungubwe also used gold for trading and ceremony. The Europeans used coal for electricity generation, fueling steam engines and railway transport, and the gold mining industry. Furthermore, the mining of crucial industrialization commodities like coal and diamonds began in the rushes of the 1860s when diamonds were discovered near Kimberley, which triggered a diamond rush. European colonizers had the technological capacity to establish coal and platinum mines. Western settlement provided a demand that justified the development into a large-scale mining era that we live in now, and the establishment of Mr. Monopoly, Cecil John Road. As you can see, the timeline between the inception of colonization and the start of large-scale mining spans roughly 200 years. The colonizers did not Zama Zama anything. Funny enough, they made the existence of Zama Zamas possible. Be wary of the first sentence. The white colonists of South Africa achieved their goal. No white person is a Zama Zama. No one ever asks why. Did they get together one day and decide that we are going to make the lives of indigenous people hell? Be mindful of history, folks. The Berlin Conference, where the scramble of Africa was formalized, took place in 1884 to 1885. So what was the goal? And when did the Europeans decide? Let us reflect on the British Empire for a moment. The economic incentive and the geopolitical location of the Cape of Good Hope were the main reasons for imperial settlement. But on an individual level, young men pursued life at the colonies for the purpose that it gave them. Cecil John Rose was a sickly young man who moved to the southern Africa for the warm climate and purpose, and Winston Churchill was an ambitious journalist who sought an enhancement of his career through the war coverage. The motives of imperialism are wide and varying: missionaries, settlers, and private entities. Their goal: God, adventure, and wealth. Some claim that those people were very ill. I claim that they were very human. We could speak about Dutch colonization on another day, but this is a summarized case study of British imperialism that show that motives vary, and perhaps painting people with the same brush works to sensationalize the past and seeps into the race relations of today.
This life is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Zimbabwe's economy is down. So here in South Africa, most people, they are jobless. That's why I'm going underground.
The economy is down and people are jobless. Unfortunately, these are the conditions of a lot of Southern African countries. The fact of joblessness can be addressed, but it also can be addressed poorly. I will not object to the racialization of the Zama Zama problem at this current moment. What I want to attack is the racialization of the solutions of this fact of unemployment. If we, as a nation, pass bills that enhance state intervention in the economy with the goal of meeting wealth redistribution through racial quotas, then we might just be going out of the frying pan into the fire. That includes our trading agreements with neighboring nations like Zimbabwe. There is a Pan-Africanist temptation to seek relations based on African ancestry, which should be avoided at all costs. Yusuf Abamjia, correspondent at ENCA, was reporting on local realities of Zama Zama hotspots in Gauteng's east and western end. These are not the only instances of further crimes committed by Zama Zamas. The slippery slope of criminal behavior is what this process is called. How easy it is to go from criminal to some sort of Robin Hood when you feel that your actions are justified by joblessness. However, one commenter under Yusuf's tweets disagrees. Whites were Zama Zamas when they first came to Africa. Now they placed rules on us to prevent us from mining our own minerals. Pathetic. The rules that instigator Mzee has not mentioned likely reference private property laws. The big assumption here is that if you could not legally own land, the ability to mine would be possible. Where there is no law, there is no transgression. Assuming the commentator is not an anarchist, I am tempted to ask, which legal system is better than the one we have? If the South African common law with its foundation in Roman Dutch law and British common law is seen as white and oppressive, then it is worth asking whether there is a black alternative. These rules of private property ownership are formulated within these legal systems, but they do not originate there. Without a guiding system in this sector, pensions would be defined by war and territory instead of legislation and capital. Mzee says preventing us from mining our own minerals. Black people are equal in rights in having equal legal and natural right to mine. The entitled notion does not stem from empirical research into the fact that every tribe migrated and wants to demonize the whites because they just traveled a bit further and crossed a few oceans and documented their journey, which cements their foreign origin but does not cement their lack of belonging. We are on the hunt for a scapegoat and have yet to receive and will never receive an adequate one. It has been 30 years since the beginning of democracy, and the scapegoat that the progressive left has chosen is running out of flesh. We have to address the questions being posed to us about joblessness, lack of businesses, and the growing anti-free market agendas that is being pushed by intellectuals on the left. These are the things that lead to the Zama Zamas and the malcompassion attached to the crimes that they commit. How we remove these barriers is by mass deregulation that allows for more entrance into the sector. In the mining sector specifically, we have seen major declines in investments and competitiveness stemming from the BBEE and the Mining Charter of 2017. This is because the crony capitalism introduced by these policies promotes the prosperity, the politically connected, and creates requirements that are extremely costly on smaller mining firms. Now, many might be screaming at this part and asking themselves, why isn't the solution the abolition of private ownership of mines? Well, because exclusively state-run sectors lack efficiency and growth. And as seen in China, the only way for such a sector to even find stability is through a tyrannical state. And the state cannot be tyrannical unless it grows. The growth of the state will be dependent on the amount of taxpayer rands are collected, meaning that the inevitable efficiencies of the state will spread from the mining site to the miner's pocket. The problem does not get resolved when the state leases the mines by the virtue of custodianship. But this circles back to the crony capitalism problem, which gives good old free marketeering a bad name. Do not do that. Don't. It is here, gentlemen, that the first episode comes to an end. Thank you for your stay in the house of YEDIBE. Good day.